Square Peg Show for March 14th, 2018. I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon.
So, hey, man, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Where we been?
Oh, my God. You know what? I don't even want to talk about it. It's internet's
Yay,
stupid, and this is...
technology.
Seriously, this is like the second or third time we've tried recording this episode, and if it doesn't happen this time, you're just going to hear like a bunch of garbled mess, and I'm going to post it as an episode because fuck it, that's why. So
there we go.
So yeah, since we did try and record this a couple times, we went through several bits of news that I still want to touch on because it's pretty awesome. I'm a big Netflix fan. I know Brandon's a big Netflix fan. Most people out there are big Netflix fans because it's well worth the fucking, what is it, $12 a month or something?
I pay $15, but that's because I got like 2 other people in the house that use it. Plus, I want to do the 4K crap.
Right on. Well, yeah. So there's plenty of Netflix news coming out because they are just steamrolling right now. Especially on the Marvel front. So Jessica Jones just dropped a couple days ago. So the new season of that is out. I know they have Luke Cage season 2 on the way,
which hopefully will be better than the Iron Fist series and the second half of Luke Cage season 1.
And which I still haven't seen Iron Fist or Defenders yet, so I know I'm going to have to catch up with that before I even start Jessica Jones. But the other thing was they also have some promo art already out for Daredevil season 3, which, you know, I liked the second season. I didn't like it as much as the first, of course, but I'm excited to see that. And I still haven't heard anything about whether there's going to be a Punisher season 2. I've heard really good things about that one, so have you watched any of it?
Here and there. It's one of those things I like to binge watch them, and I just haven't had the time.
Yeah, I dig that completely. So yeah, plenty of Netflix stuff going on. They have the Lost in Space trailer that dropped.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah,
the trailer looks pretty good. It looks like it's gonna go kind of a darker, more serious tone, not like the very campy 60s or 70s TV series. And hopefully a little more polished than the late 90s, early 2000s Lost in Space movie.
Wait. What are you talking about? We're talking about Joey from Friends and Gary Oldman? How can you possibly go wrong with a Lost in Space movie like that?
You would honestly think that it would be fantastic. And at the time, it was fine. But the CG just didn't hold up. And man.
Dude, no, at the end when he starts having all these spiders, and I was just like, Gary Oldman, what in the fuck did you get yourself into? This is atrocious. But honestly, one of my most favorite things about Lost in Space, and I'm a nerd this way, but it was the robot. And I was actually kind of a big fan of the robot they had in that Lost in Space movie. And at some point, he kind of lost his outer shell, or it was when Will Robinson goes into the future or sees his future self or something, and he still has the robot with him, but he looks a whole lot more like he did in the show, which I thought was a cool callback. But this one, not so much. Like he's much less the practical utilitarian robot, and he's like this bipedal weird light face thing. I don't know. It's just meh.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be more Lost in Space or more Earth 2.
Yeah.
So we'll really have to see where they go with that.
Yeah. The next thing I had was that Black Mirror Season 5 has been confirmed, which I'm really stoked about. Good God, I love this show. It is
so good. And you can jump in at any episode as long as you don't watch the first one. And
as long as you do not watch the first one.
You're going to be in for a treat. Unless you're into the Prime Minister boning a pig. If you're into that thing, go ahead and watch the first episode.
That may be you. You know, we're not here to judge you. We're just here to protect you if possible. And yeah, so if that's your thing, bro, do it. It's just it happens to be our thing. So, you know, whatever. So yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know what Black Mirror is, it really is. It's like the 2017, 2018 Outer Limits, Twilight Zone kind of thing going on. They're like, what I mean, the episodes vary from like a half an hour to an hour, right?
Yeah, they have pretty variable length, and they kind of vary like what time period they take place in. Some are obviously present day. Some of them are like in the near future, and then some of them kind of act like they're, 50, 60, 70 years in the future whenever all hell is broken loose.
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed is that, I mean, and this show it's not only just Twilight Zone Outer Limits, but they all have to do with technology in some form or fashion, and it's a social commentary kind of how, you know, we interact with technology and technology interacts with us. And one of the things that never even dawned on me until I heard someone say it is that the title Black Mirror is actually what your phone is like when you pick it up before you turn it on. And I was just like, oh, that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
But one of the things that really jumps out at me in that show is that they have some top-notch, like, user interface designers. Like, most of the things that people interact with and with their technology, their near-future technology, is just awesome user interface, and they all are different from each other. And I was just really impressed by that.
Yeah, now if hopefully some actual UI designers kind of take some lessons.
Right? Yeah. Make that a reality. I need to just be able to swipe people up 4 stars or whatever the fuck it was. So yeah, so those are the Netflix news, and I'm really stoked about that because seriously, Netflix is spinning gold, and I'm very happy with them. I mean, don't get me wrong, not everything on Netflix is great. Some of it is absolute crap, but hey, you know, it's $12. I'm gonna watch it for $12.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where they take more of the sci-fi and especially the cyberpunk genre. They released season 1 of Altered Carbon, which apparently is very, very different from the books. I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's a book or multiple books. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It's kind of a strange TV series where multiple actors play the same character because consciousness can be transferred from one shell to another, which is pretty cool. They also released...
They call them sleeves, right?
Yeah, re-sleeving. Yeah. And double sleeving, where you split your consciousness into 2 different sleeves, which is
awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome. They also recently came out with Mute with Alexander Skarsgård and Paul Rudd. Some people, again, it's getting kind of mixed reviews. It's more of a cyberpunk future robots that look like humans style thing. But kind of the same critics that say they didn't like that also said they didn't like Blade Runner 2049. So if you like Blade Runner 2049, give it a shot.
Actually, speaking of Altered Carbon for a minute, I was able to watch all of it. You watched all of it also. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that while the set designers were awesome, like they made the world really feel tangible as far as like that kind of corporate overrunning terrible city kind of future thing going on that Blade Runner had and that Altered Carbon did really well, but it really started feeling like it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Except for the fact that, and Netflix, thumbs up to you, they have no trouble with just full frontal nudity almost as often as possible, and even a fight scene during full frontal nudity. I was like, this is great. I could watch this all day.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Well, and the thing is, it's not like gratuitous nudity. Some of it. I mean, some of it is... I will say some of it definitely feels like a little bit of fan service, but overall, it's not just, hey, here's tits everywhere. They kind of just show up in the natural progression of the scene.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. Because I guess when you re-sleeve, like your sleeve's already naked, so they don't just pre-put clothes on them. So when you pop out, there's your tallywhacker or your hoo-ha just right there, and it's great. I'm just like, dude, what if Sci-Fi could do this? They would have made Altered Carbon. I promise you.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say it's kind of nice knowing that Dyken Lockman is okay with full frontal nudity, and that you are able to see her full frontal nudity from multiple angles whenever she keeps re-sleeving.
Yes, like 13 times or something. Oh my god. So, yeah, moving on a little bit here, the new Terminator movie is going to happen, and this makes me cringe in my soul, and Arnold will be there as the T-800. Someone stop him. Please, anyone, someone stop him.
Yep, Arnie is back as the T-800. Linda Hamilton is coming back as Sarah Connor, but there's also a new actress in the mix who I guess will be playing a younger Sarah Connor, Mackenzie Davis. She's in negotiations.
Yeah, she was in an episode of Black Mirror and San Junipero. She was also in The Martian.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, she was, and she was in Blade Runner 2049. She
Yes,
was one
yes.
of the prostitute bots that went after the lead there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Apparently, it is ignoring Terminator's 3,
I'm so sick. I'm so sick of these
Salvation.
sequels coming out that just say we'll just pretend that these other things didn't happen. Because let me tell you something, man. They did, and you fucked
They
up,
did
and you
happen.
can't you can't just wipe it away like that. That's not how this works.
Yeah, you can't just ignore Kristana Loken as the T-3000
Some shit. Who knows?
or the zombie robot Terminator John Connor thing. I don't know. I don't know. Jesse, do you ever watch Red Letter Media on YouTube?
Negative.
Okay. They have an amazing video, Science Man Explains Terminator. And it just goes on and on about it's all bullshit.
Yes. I mean the first one actually, and the second one I thought were really well done. I was a huge fan of the first two movies, especially the second one. I felt like, and you said this the last time we tried to record this, is that that's one of the best sequels that we didn't even know that we needed. But
Exactly.
this is my problem with the way Terminator has been progressing, is that once you're dealing with time travel and you're sending at these advanced killing machines back into a previous time, like you can't really progress much more than that, because you have the T800, and then you might push it once to the T1000, but then once you just keep doing it, you have to keep wondering how much time has passed in this future time since the last time they sent one of these motherfuckers back here. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like they would just keep throwing T800s or T1000s until the fucking little kid's dead.
You
Which is why I
you
was
would
so
think that.
happy. Yeah, but that's why I was so happy when Salvation came around, because suddenly we're in that future time, and it has everything to do with getting back. Oh man, everything suddenly became great. And what I would love to have seen is, if for all these times that the antagonist in these films has failed, I would have loved to have seen the in between time before they come up with some brand new fucking thing. But all of that dystopian future in that movie was fantastic. Big fan.
It was, and I was a huge fan, even though had Christian Bale's meltdown, which was a pretty good internet meme for a while.
Fucking amateur.
Good for you, but and even Terminator 3 could have done something well, showing when Judgment Day actually happens.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a PG-13. They tried to make it, they PG-13ified it. Then you had Salvation, which, we're jumping ahead 60, no, not 60 years, well, 30 years, 30 to 40
Yeah.
years from, from then. So we're in like the 2050s, where John Connor's an adult and he's leading, what's left of the resistance.
I gotta send my dad back to bone my mom. that's that's exactly what happened. Dude, Dad,
Man.
get in this machine so you can bone my mom.
See, and that's the other thing, is sending him back. It has to be like the exact time, so he ejaculates at the exact moment, so the exact sperm that creates John Connor is the one that makes it to the egg.
It has
Which
to be precise.
whenever it comes to Terminator Genesis with the
Genesis.
Genesis with the Doctor Who Skynet,
Yes.
they completely screwed that up by jumping all over time. So how is John Connor ever going to be born?
I don't know, man. It's just Jesus God Almighty. I never watched the television show. I honestly I stopped watching after. I mean, I never saw the third one. I stopped watching after Salvation. I was just like, fuck it. If they're not gonna continue this series, then I don't really want to have any part of it.
Right.
I'm kind of done.
I mean, this is something that we talk about quite often. Even just the second, or well, I don't remember which episode, second or third episode of this season. The whole idea was, is Hollywood out of ideas? Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. They're out of ideas.
But at the same time, it may not be. I mean, they are out of ideas in most instances. But you had a movie that just came out that should have hit every single one of the new Hollywood checklists. It's an original story. It has an almost all-female lead cast. You have minorities from multiple ethnic groups and LGBT presentation, and no one saw the goddamn thing. And that movie is called Annihilation. It checked every single inclusion writer box, and no one went to see it. So maybe it's not that Hollywood's out of ideas. Maybe people are just dumb.
Maybe people just don't want new ideas. They just want titties explosions, like I've always feared was going to happen. See, Judgment Day is here. That's what's happening. Judgment Day is here as far as movies are concerned. Everyone is just, they're done with actual new shit, and they just want titties and explosions, and, you know, Michael Bay is going to be rolling in it.
And, you know what? And I'm fine with titties and explosions, but god damn it, give me a fucking story. I love Blade Runner 2049, and no one went to see that either. And Denis Villeneuve, he is making a pair of Dune movies. No one's going to go see that shit, and it's going to be amazing.
No one's ever going to go see those. And I don't know. I got to disagree a little bit about 2049. I had a lot of problems with that movie.
It definitely had some pacing issues. Yes. I cannot fault anyone that says that. But at the same time, you know, another like very eye-catching, good-looking movie was Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. That had major pacing issues. No one went and saw that one either. So maybe people just want either their 90-minute comedy with boobs and fart jokes, or they want their 2.5-hour Marvel or Disney movie, and that's what we're going to be stuck with for the rest of eternity.
No, I mean, if they're Marvel movies, I'll watch them.
Or we're going to get Terminators 7, 8, and 9.
Oh, I promise you that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
But speaking of titties and explosions, real quick, do you have any desire to see this new Tomb Raider movie?
No.
I mean,
there's really part
of me. There's part of me that really wants to see it, but then every time I watch the trailer, I'm just like, I mean, no, not really. Is it going to be better than Angelina Jolie's side boob? Probably, but because they've revamped the character in the games, I think so. They've revamped the character in the games, and instead of like this really strong female character, I mean, she's still a strong female character, but it's all about surviving by will as opposed to surviving by skill.
Yes, which can take you so far.
Yeah.
But is it going to have fantastical elements tossed in there out of nowhere, like the Illuminati stopping time or Pandora's box in a pool of boiling acid in the middle of the cradle of civilization? Are they going to play it straight? Or are we going to get like weird sequences of Angelina or of Lara Croft running up vertical the side of a pyramid to get the last piece of the magic clock?
Yeah, and I think on the way there, she ends up closing herself into a refrigerator to protect herself from a nuclear weapon or something.
I'm not
wasn't really sure.
Didn't they want to use that in that? Or didn't they use that in that Indiana Jones fan film?
Yeah, they were going to. They had filmed that shot, and then they never could get all the effects right. So they tried to release it anyway, but no one was having it. So yeah, it was pretty terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they gonna go? I mean, I don't mind like the little bit of like, I don't know, mystical stuff that's happening. I mean, and that's what happens in the actual Indiana Jones movies that did get made and released.
Right.
You know, because suddenly we're talking about the Holy Grail and like walking over this invisible bridge and fucking Sankara stones and ripping people's hearts out. Yeah, I'm cool with that. But you know, I just don't know if this movie is going to have enough substance to fill 2 hours. I just don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of my whole idea as well. Just from the plot synopsis, she's trying to figure out what happened to her dad, and she goes on to the island of Yamatai, which that's basically follows the new game, the island of Yamatai. So that it looks like there are going to be some fantasy elements, which is fine. And the reason it worked with Indiana Jones is because they were based off of, you know, like the 40s and 50s pulp comics.
Right.
So there, you know, while there were these fantastical elements, the movie didn't really take itself too seriously.
Right.
If if this movie takes itself too seriously, it's not going to do well.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, and I think that Raiders probably took itself the most seriously. But I mean, there are moments, especially in Temple, and I get a lot of flack for loving Temple, but I grew up with Temple of Doom, and I'll watch that shit a million times. To me, it has the best music of all three movies, and Jacob's gonna kill me for saying that, but what I loved about it was that the way that they were able to introduce the comic relief in the very, very high stress moments, especially like when he's getting shot in the Obi-Wan club and he cuts the big coin and he's running behind it. That's awesome. And when they're just about finished with the whole little rail coaster scene, right? And he, like the brake breaks, and then he has to jump in the front, and he's got his foot down on the brake or on the wheel to stop the thing, and they finally get out of that situation, and suddenly he realizes his fucking foot's on fire. He's begging for water, and then an avalanche of water is coming. Like the way they paced those moments were fantastic, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see that kind of stuff here. I really hope so, but
we'll see. We'll see.
So yeah, moving on a little bit. And again, one of the things that we tried to record last time but weren't able to were the Oscars. But more important than the Oscars were the Razzies. So I wanted to talk just for a minute about the Razzies because they shit all over the Emoji Movie in the worst kind of way.
For good goddamn reason. That movie. I had to watch it with my son, who is 8, and he loved it.
Of course he loved it.
Of course he loved it. But, oh my God, what was TJ Miller left Silicon Valley for this?
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart, I get it. I get it. He just wants something that's going to be fun. He's done everything. He's done Star Trek. He's done theater. He's done, the CIA director in American Dad.
He gets his crappy movies. He gets those now. That's fine.
That's perfectly fine. But this fucking movie, oh my God!
And what kills me about it is that like the kid movie right now is huge, and it has been huge actually for some time. And it almost seems like you almost can't make a bad one, but this. I didn't see it, and I'm glad I haven't, but just listening to you for the last couple of weeks has told me to never, ever go see that film.
Yeah, it was bad. Just so horribly bad.
But, like, number one, it got worst picture. It got worst screen combo for any two obnoxious emojis on screen at a time. And it got the worst screenplay, which I think is hilarious. But that puts it up there with worst actress, which was Tyler Perry for Boo 2 Medea Halloween, which is awesome. Worst actor, actually Tom Cruise for The Mummy, which I could have told you that going in. And then a couple shout-outs to 50 Shades Darker, which really, who gives a shit at this point?
And Mel Gibson.
Movie, yes, Mel Gibson for Daddy's Home 2. But even worst director, the Emoji Movie, they shit all over that, and from your commentary, for good reason. So, yeah.
And the thing is, the thing is, when you look at the casting in the Emoji Movie, you have a great cast, an amazing cast. You got T.J. Miller, James Corden, you can take him or leave him, whatever. Anna Faris, Maya Rudolph, Stephen Wright, Jennifer Coolidge, Patrick Stewart, Sofia Vergara, Christina Aguilera. You had Rob Riggle. You had some great actors who are hilarious, and they fucked it all up. I don't know, man. But you know what? It made 4 times its budget at the box office, so we're gonna get another one.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. So yeah, moving on from the Razzies, which are always awesome and fun. Going to the actual Oscars. So there were 2 things there were 3 things that I want to talk about specifically as far as awards that went out that night, and the first of which is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman gets an Oscar just because he's Gary Oldman, I'm pretty sure, and you know what? I'm totally okay with that. He was in Darkest Hour, which I didn't see at all. I didn't even hear anything about.
He played Winston Churchill, and it was a good movie. This is one of the few Oscar movies that I actually was able to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with him taking over from Neville Chamberlain during World War II, and just how that all plays out. And it was really freaking good. And Guillermo del Toro, sorry, we're gonna get into him in a minute. Gary Oldman owned the performance once again. He's the man of a million faces, and he pulled this one off perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know how many Oscars he has hanging out in his closet, but it's probably not enough as far as I'm concerned. I've loved this guy for a long time, and I'm glad that he got yet another one. I'm super stoked about that. But as far as people not winning very many Oscars, we got to talk about Sam Rockwell, because Sam Rockwell is one of those guys who's always in the background of some movie somewhere, always doing amazing work. I can only think of maybe one movie off the top of my head that he was a headliner in, and I thought he was fan-fucking-tastic in that. He played a few roles in that, which was Moon.
Moon was great. Another movie where he's pretty prominent is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. That's that came out back in 2003, and yes, everyone should watch it. It's just a fantastic movie.
He got this one apparently for 3 Billboards, which I'd heard a lot about. I knew it was in the running for Best Picture. I never got a chance to see that one either, unfortunately. But if Sam Rockwell's in it, I'm definitely going to go back and watch it, because why the hell not? So moving on to the actual Best Picture, and we got to talk about this, was The Shape of Water. And if for those of you who don't know, The Shape of Water is essentially kind of a sci-fi love story-ish, but that kind of shit never ever makes it to Best Picture, and it is blowing my mind right now that it won this, and it's insane. From Guillermo del Toro, Jesus,
this is the first sci-fi movie to win Best Picture. The closest that we've had before this was whenever Lord of the Rings Return of the King won Best Picture back in 2003, I think it was. So the fact that sci-fi, even this weird artsy sci-fi with the lady who might be a fish lady falls in love with the fish man, it won Best Picture and got Guillermo del Toro Best Director. This is either the sci-fi's peak, and it will never be good after this, or this is just the beginning.
That's a distinct possibility, and it scares me in my face. Because honestly, I've seen plenty of his movies. They've always been awesome, and you guys know I'm a huge Pacific Rim fan. I think we talked about last episode how shitty the new one looks because Del Toro's not there. But dude, I'm totally in for this. The problem is I've seen about 30 trailers and I still haven't watched the movie. I have a decent idea of what's happening in it, but that's not really going to give me why it's Oscar material. But good God, I got to see this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good, and it actually shot back up. It didn't shoot back to the top, but it got a 60% week over week box office increase after winning Best Picture. Mm-hmm. So, it's making money. Are we going to get a Shape of Water too? Who knows?
God, no. let's
also,
not do that.
Yeah. Also at the Oscars, Jordan Peele won Best Original Screenplay for Get Out.
Oh, for Get Out, yeah. And that's another one I haven't seen. I haven't seen many of these that were in the contention, but I've heard nothing but awesome things. Some people are like, you got to watch this. Some people are like, don't watch this shit. Not because it's bad, but because it'll freak you straight the hell out.
The Get Out is definitely worth a watch. I've seen it a couple of times, and it's a damn good movie.
Yeah.
Best cinematography, we got Blade Runner 2049 got up in there. It also won for Best Visual Effects, which I mean, really, I don't really know who else could have won that with visual effects. Cinematography, it beat out Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was actually the only movie in these contentions that I did actually get a chance to see, which that movie was, I don't know, man. It was slow. It was very weird. It was very disconjointed, and it was done that way. Yes, and it was done that way on purpose. The confusion of war and that kind of stuff, and like the desperation to get out of this place or whatever. All I know is that every time Mad Max was in a plane, I was like, I'm into this. And then every time he wasn't, I was like, I don't care. Let's get back to Mad Max because this is terrible.
Right. And, you know, that's something you mentioned where they wanted, or Nolan wanted to, like, convey the confusion of war and the desperation. But I think there's many better ways that could have been done than making it confusing to follow for the audience.
Yes. And because, I mean, they do flashbacks and flash forwards, and you don't realize that that's what's happening. You kind of have to put it together on the fly, but then you question yourself, and it just, I don't know. It ends up becoming kind of a confusing mess to me. Now, on multiple watches to really figure it out, sure, I'm sure it's probably great, but was it good enough the first time for me to actually do that? Probably not. I mean, there are some movies like Primer, I'll go back and watch 15 times to really get it because I'm that interested, but it's got to hook me the first time. This one just didn't.
Yeah.
So.
But again, maybe that's just like attitudes changing whenever it comes to moviegoers, and maybe we're not immune to that. I don't know. Maybe we just don't get it. But if we don't get it, why are we going to go watch it?
Exactly. So anyway, yeah, that's about our time. Actually, you know, the only other thing I wanted to say real quick was that the creature from Shape of Water was Abe Sapien. I'm positive.
Absolutely, without a doubt. This was definitely this was Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy prequel, and this is how he's going to get back into that universe.
It's kind of his love letter to Hellboy at this point.
Absolutely.
So anyway, guys, that's our time. Thank you so much for joining us. Check us out next week if my internet is awesome, and we'll see you then.
Yep, be sure to check us out at Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on Spreaker, and give us your money at Patreon.
Later, guys.
Peace out.